Hello, this is Duncan Welder with The Risk, and glad you could join me today. What we're going to take a look at is running supervisor reports in Learner. So I'm logged into Learner just in a demo system, logged in as this Richard person who is a supervisor. So when I go to my reports menu, what I'm going to see are supervisor reports, as opposed to someone who isn't set up as a supervisor will just be able to report on him or herself. So the reports here, just a subset of all the reports in the system, really designed around those things that supervisors need day in and day out. So there are history or transcript type reports, so looking at student detail or training summary, attendance, non-attendance. There is one report on scheduled training, and then there are some requirements-based reports I think are particularly important for supervisors, especially in high compliance kind of arenas. One report on team management status, and then a place where I can save report favorites. So if I run the same report once a week, once a month, and want to save that guy, I can do that and come back and run it with a single click. The way that the report selection works is the same really regardless of the report. The first thing I have to do is choose who I want to include. So in this case I might say work areas that I supervise, and if I use the drop down here, I happen to supervise this HSE work area. So now when I hit apply filter, that'll bring up all the students in that group. I can pick who I want to include in a report. I can set my date range, and if I scroll down there, have some additional options. So things like students without training, do I include them? Do I include in progress training? External training. I can also pick file formats. So if I want an Adobe PDF file, or if I want an HTML file or a Microsoft Word file, I can pick those. I'm just going to run these in PDF right now. I can also pick if I have a unique report form, but normally you would have something customized to do that. So now I can run that guy, I can back out. Of course I can save it, but I'd rarely ever run something if I hadn't saved, or save anything if I hadn't run it just to test out. So there's my employee detail report, just your traditional transcript, training history, accumulation of hours for whatever that time period is. For some of the other reports, if I just step back, things like exception reports, status reports, a little bit different because they're not looking at a window of time, they're looking more at a point in time, so I can look at someone's status. So say I want to run a status graph to see what courses someone has assigned to them, and then of those, what your take and what your past due. So I might pick a person or two here, and again, in this case, I can set an end date, or I might want to say, let me see everything through the end of this year, and now I'm going to check that person's status as of December 31st this year. Do I want to include people with no requirements? I can filter this down for selected courses, but I won't do that. I can also filter by priority depending on how your site has priorities set. But when I run that guy, again, going through getting your basic status graph, so for a person, how many courses are required, how many have they met. So they're at 35% as of the end of this year because I ran this again through the end of the year as my generic time period. If I want to back out and see more detail, maybe I'll run a full status report, and I'll see that for those couple people, the actual detail behind those bar charts. So again, now if I blow this up to where normal humans can read it, I can see for a person the courses assigned to him or her, how they were assigned, what's been met, what hasn't been met, if it's not met, what's the due date. So again, a lot of information I can drill down into, and again, if I chose to save any one of those, I just use that save option at the bottom, and I'll give it a name. And what happens is it will show up in the list here. So if I want to run a quick report, say this new employee orientation report, I just do a single click and it generates that information. The other thing I can do here, if I hit more favorites, is it gives me the ability to go in, and if I want to delete any favorites, I can do that. So maybe I'll delete this report favorite that I've got named Fred there. I can also choose which of those report favorites I want to pin to that main screen. and just clicking that little pin icon there, when I go back, that report will now show up in my group. So again, a good way to drill down in, get good information out of VTA in real time, updated, current, accurate, without having to send in a request for a report. If you have any questions, anything else we can provide, never hesitate to contact Risk at vtasupport@risk-inc.com or online at risk-inc.com. Thank you much and have a great day.